Welcome to Scotty Movies. Um, have you ever heard of a Tucker automobile? No? Well, I guess that's kind of the point of this movie. We're talking about a movie called Tucker, the Man and His Dream. Back in the 1940s, a small town businessman named Preston Tucker had a big idea: build a car that was safer, faster, just plain cooler than anything that was on the market at the time. He believed in the American dream, that if you had vision and guts, you could take on the big guys. You could create uh, and a business that thrived. For a moment, it looked like it actually might pull off, but uh, politics and big business kind of quashed his idea. So Tucker, the Man in His Dream, is the story of that moment, based on this true story, and what shut it down. And yes, we're going to talk about those wild car features. Buckle up about this one. What could those features possibly be that were so innovative that car manufacturers and politicians wanted to shut it down? So, before we get into that, let's set the stage. What is the synopsis of this movie? I've kind of covered part of that, but Tucker, the Man in His Dream, follows the true story of Preston Tucker, played with relentless optimism by Jeff Bridges, as he attempts to launch a revolutionary car company in post World War II America. He's got the plans, he's got the pitch, he's got the passion. He gathers a team, finds investors, actually gets cars built. But once the major auto manufacturers and a few conveniently placed politicians realize that he might be a real threat, they start to throw lawsuits his way and turn it into a real nightmare, a legal nightmare. Uh, and eventually, he has to deal with the consequences of fighting against big business as a small company trying for the American dream. It's a story about ambition, innovation, and the forces that really decide who gets to succeed in America. Let's talk about that car for a second. The Tucker 48 wasn't just another post war sedan, it had a bunch of features that no cars on the market at the time had. And it was selling them at pretty reasonable prices for the time, or it was going to if they got out on the market. It had a rear engine. It had a pop out windshield that if you got in a crash, it would pop out rather than cave in. It had disc brakes. It had a center mounted third headlight that would rotate with the steering wheel. And this one's wild. It had this thing called seat belts. Uh, this wasn't a gimmick car. It was years ahead of its time. And that's exactly why the big automakers and the politicians, the friends in Washington, wanted it gone, because it was such a threat against big business. At the time, uh, a lot of those big car manufacturers, Ford and Chevrolet, um, and the other, and what am I missing? General Motors, GM, those three in particular. I think there were five, but those are three that I can think of at the time, were tied in specifically with money making machines in Washington. And so politics and business were really mixed together at that point. And so um, Tucker proved to be a threat against not only the money making machine of this big conglomerate between business and politics, but it also was just a threat to what America had built at this time. Uh, American Dream started with guys like Sam Walton that made Walmart from a very small mom and pop shop into what it is today. And so, why couldn't others do the same thing? And at this time that this movie takes place, and as well as in some cases still today, uh, big business wants to quash their competition to not let the American dream happen, which is really sad and really um, infuriating. Uh, this movie doesn't just show the car, it celebrates it. You get these loving, almost reverent shots of chrome and curves, like you're looking at a spaceship in disguise. And honestly, you kind of fall in love with it. And knowing what we know today, that a lot of these features that Tucker was trying to introduce as innovations exist as safety features in every single car today. Those pop out windshield, the disc brakes, those crazy seatbelt ideas. Uh, and so it's crazy to think that uh, even though Tucker, the company, didn't survive, a lot of his innovations hit the market and are now not only optional features but required features for safety innovation. That's a pretty cool thing. Let's talk about Jeff Bridges in the role of Preston Tucker. He crushes it here. He plays this role with a boundless, almost childlike enthusiasm. You believe this guy could walk into a room, talk for 5 minutes, and walk out with a factory. He was that charismatic. He is that much up in your face about how cool these things are and what he can do. He's got an infectious can do energy, the kind that makes you believe in the dream even when the odds start stacking up. And so that's also part of the reason why you hate it, that it didn't that it that you have to watch him fail because of the intervention of others. Uh, what makes his performance work isn't just the optimism, it's how Bridges shows the cracks, the stress, as they're getting prepared to show off the car in a really tight time frame, how they're working to the very last second to get it ready to make sure that it's going to work the way that it's intended to. It's those little moments throughout the film where you see that maybe his dream and his energy and his infectiousness might be slipping away. It's a layered, grounded performance that gives the movie its emotional edge. There's a supporting cast as well. Martin Landau plays Abe Karatz, who is Preston Tucker's financier, right hand man in this case. At first, he's not sold on the idea. He just is in it for the money, and he tells Tucker that he's in it because he knows that this has a possibility of making money, but he doesn't quite believe in this dream. He thinks Tucker's just another salesman. But as the movie goes on, you see him start to really believe. His arc is subtle, but deeply human, and Landau plays it with real grace. There's a point where he has to leave the company because it's not making any more money. But he now believes in this dream, and he shows up at the court cases, cheers him on with everything he has, and it's a really cool arc to see Martin Landau, who is fantastic in this role. There's Lloyd Bridges as Senator Homer Ferguson, the face of the establishment that's trying to bring Tucker down. And what makes this role uh, especially intriguing is that this is Lloyd Bridges. He's Jeff's dad in real life. So father and son playing as antagonists in this movie. The casting choice kind of adds a quiet, dramatic tension to their scenes. It's not just a battle of ideology. It feels personal, just a little bit, because you're watching who you know to be father and son acting against each other as real life figures, even though the script never calls it out directly. And he is just a horrible person in this movie. Lloyd Bridges as Homer Ferguson. You hate him with everything you have because of what he's trying to do to quash this little business that wants to achieve the American dream. It's really nasty. It's really um, cutthroat and unethical and all of those bad adjectives. Uh, as far as the bump in the road for the movie itself, the film's biggest flaw is its structure. Instead of slowing down to let us live in these moments, the film feels like a vignette style of thing where this happens and then this happens and then this happens and then this happens. It's more of a storyboard ABCD, which is easy to fall into that trap for a movie that's based on real life, because you have to present the facts of this happened and then this happened, but you sometimes get caught in the trap of following that too closely, and then you forget to actually tell the impact that whatever this happened and this happened has on the person and the family. It's like flipping through a scrapbook instead of watching a life unfold. You get the events, but not the impact. And family was extremely important to Preston Tucker, and you see that in the beginning stages of this film. His wife, played by Joan Allen, his son, played by a very young Christian Slater, uh, are all very important to him. But unfortunately, we see these characters in the movie and we see them interact, but we don't see the full impact of what these successes and ultimate failures have on the family dynamic, on the people within that, because the movie forgets to show that important aspect because it's too uh, tied up in telling what happened through, as far as a chronological point of view. As far as visually, this is a Francis Ford Coppola film. You know, the director of the Godfather series, so he knows what he's doing as far uh, as filmmaking goes, and the thing sings as far as visually stunning. He goes full golden era Hollywood here. This is 1940s, 50s. The colors pop, the sets feel lived in. The whole movie has this rich, almost romantic glow to it, because you're watching a period piece here, and he really brings out the period elements of it. It doesn't feel like a dry biopic. It feels like a memory, a dream almost. Uh, the design of the Tucker 48, the production work, the detail, the camera work, it's all really top tier. You can tell that Coppola really cared about the story. It's personal for him, and it shows. I just wish that the screenwriters would have understood a little bit more to tie this into um, personal impact. So, as far as final thoughts go for Tucker, the Man in His Dream, it's a fascinating film. It's part underdog story, part cautionary tale, part tribute to the idea that innovation alone isn't always enough to achieve an American dream, and part of a showing what corruption in government can do to real upstanding businessmen at times. It doesn't always hit the emotional high notes because it's so focused on the story, on telling in chronological order what happened when, rather than telling the emotional impact of it. It's a movie about what could have been, and how sometimes dreaming big means crashing hard. But you know, what a ride! And like I said, a lot of these innovative features that Preston Tucker was trying to introduce are now standard issue in every single automobile in the United States, and that's a really cool win for the Tucker family. As far as the grade goes, I'm going to give it a solid B. Um, Again, it has some issues with its story structure and pace, but overall, it's a really well acted and well made, technical, yeah, technically made film. Uh, so, what do you think? Have you seen Tucker, the Man in His Dream? Do you know about Tucker automobiles? Did Francis Ford Coppola sneak a classic right under our noses here? Let me know what you think in the comments. Uh, and like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you can know when I'm putting out videos like this. And other than that, I will talk to you next time I'm reviewing a movie. Thanks, everyone.